My name is Jessica Parker, and I've lived in Boston, Massachusetts for most of my life. I work as a relationship coach and motivational speaker, and I've always believed that love is both the simplest and the most complex human experience. Over the years, I've spoken on countless stages, guiding couples to rediscover the beauty of emotional and physical intimacy. But one talk, one idea, changed my life in ways I never expected. It started when I was invited to speak at a community event at Harvard Square, where young couples and older married partners gathered to learn about sustaining love in a world that moves too fast. My topic was the 3 kissing spots that spark emotional and physical intimacy in women. Now, before anyone raised an eyebrow, I clarified immediately that it wasn't about physical gratification. It was about love, trust, tenderness, and connection. I began with a story of my parents, who had been married for 45 years. I told the audience how, as a child, I would often see my father kiss my mother on the forehead before leaving for work every morning. To some, it may have seemed simple, but to me, it was a powerful gesture. That forehead kiss carried reassurance, protection, and respect. I called it the kiss of safety. Women, I explained, often feel deeply cared for when their partner shows such gentle tenderness. It says, "I've got you, you're safe with me." The second spot I shared with the audience was the cheek. A cheek kiss is playful, light, and warm. I remembered my best friend Sophia in Chicago once telling me that after a long, stressful day, her husband would greet her with a gentle kiss on the cheek. It wasn't grand, but it reminded her that she was loved in the everyday moments. This was what I called the kiss of everyday love. It's not about fireworks, but about consistency, the kind of small flame that never burns out. The third, of course, was the hands. I saw couples in the audience glance at one another in surprise when I said it. But I explained how, in a relationship, holding a woman's hand and pressing a kiss upon it speaks volumes. My grandmother used to tell me that when my grandfather kissed her hands, it wasn't about romance alone. It was about gratitude. The hands symbolize partnership. They hold the weight of work, chores, raising children, and building a life together. A hand kiss says, "I see everything you do, and I'm grateful." I called it the kiss of honor. As I gave my speech, I noticed couples leaning closer, some holding hands, some exchanging soft forehead kisses right then and there. The room filled with warmth, as though love itself had been reawakened in the hearts of everyone present. After the event, a young woman named Rachel approached me. She said she had been married for just 2 years in New York City, but lately, she and her husband had been drifting apart. "We don't argue," she said, "but it feels like we're living side by side, not together." She told me that when I spoke about the forehead kiss, it reminded her of the way her husband used to kiss her goodnight when they first got married. "I didn't realize how much I missed that," she said with tears in her eyes. Her story reminded me why I do what I do. Sometimes, the simplest gestures carry the deepest meaning. It isn't about grand gestures or perfect romance. It's about the little sparks of intimacy that keep the heart alive. Over the following weeks, I received dozens of letters and emails from people who had heard the talk or watched the video online. Some wrote about rekindled love, others about newfound appreciation for small acts of affection. One older man wrote to me from San Diego, telling me that after hearing my speech, he kissed his wife's hand for the first time in years, and she cried tears of joy. For me, the journey was more personal than I expected. Though I had spent years coaching others, I realized that I, too, had fallen into the trap of taking love for granted. My fiancé, Daniel, and I had been engaged for 8 months, and while we loved each other, we were caught up in wedding planning, work deadlines, and endless to-do lists. I had been preaching intimacy without truly practicing it in my own relationship. One evening, after a long day, Daniel found me sitting quietly with my notes. Without a word, he came over, kissed my forehead, then took my hand and kissed it too. "I listened to your speech online today," he said with a smile. My eyes welled with tears. It was a reminder that love thrives in simplicity. The more I reflected on it, the more I realized that intimacy isn't just physical. It's deeply emotional. A forehead kiss builds security, a cheek kiss builds warmth, and a hand kiss builds respect. When combined, these little gestures become the fabric of love itself. Months later, when I stood at the altar in Boston Public Garden, ready to marry Daniel, I felt my entire speech come to life. As the minister pronounced us husband and wife, Daniel lifted my hand, kissed it softly, then leaned forward to kiss my forehead. I laughed through my tears, realizing that love in its truest form is found in the smallest acts of kindness. And that is why I believe with all my heart. Intimacy doesn't come from big, elaborate gestures. It comes from small, meaningful ones, repeated with love, over a lifetime.